I'm good. Okay, good.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our webinar is a deep dive into how to use LinkedIn and social branding to develop real, consistent business relationships. And our presenter today is Jasmine Sandler. She is the CEO of Agent C. She is a global speaker, and she's a thought leader in social media marketing. My name is Kelly Newsome. I am the founder and president of ConnectRoot. We represent over 100 speakers, professional speakers, financial industry experts, trainers, and coaches and entertainers on our Speakers Bureau. And Jasmine is one of the speakers we do represent. We also host a series of educational webinars like today's webinar. We encourage all of you to ask questions on today's webinar, and you can do that via the Q&A button at the top left-hand side of your screen. And now I would like to introduce Jasmine Sandler. And just a side note, we will be using the hashtag social branding for today's webinar. Welcome, Jasmine.
So thank you, Kelly, so much for inviting me. I'm happy to be here. I think and hope this will be a very informative and inquisitive webinar. So I welcome questions, and I'm sure we'll have a lot. So I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Okay, you can share your screen and pull up your presentation.
Okay.
On the bottom of, oh, there you go. Yep.
I got it.
Perfect, thank you.
No problem. I just need to get to my slideshow here and we will be good. There's always a few seconds where we have to get technical, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, so yes, this is a deep dive into how to use LinkedIn and social branding. And really what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to give you the basics on what is social branding, why you might need it. And then I'm going to dive deep into LinkedIn. And really what I would love for everybody to get out of this is how they can not only use LinkedIn as a sophisticated branding and sales tool and marketing tool, but how you can stand out from the crowd on LinkedIn and other social media. So I'm going to get right into it. As Kelly mentioned, just to give you a brief, because I'm sure you're wondering, if you don't know me, who I am and why am I here, and lucky enough to be involved with ConnectRoot. So just a quick on me, I've been doing speaking, training, consulting in the area of digital marketing since actually 2004. Before that, I was with IBM and with a couple of other agencies. And really in the last 10 years, I have focused primarily on helping individuals, entrepreneurs, executives, and companies through my agency build strong social brands to drive thought leadership and market position, which inevitably drive leads and sales, which is what everyone really cares about. So to jump right into this, what I personally feel determines a strong social brand, which I'm going to explain in a minute, is someone that is actually social. So to me, I made up this little acronym. A successful social brand is just that: successful, original. And I'm going to talk about that today because that's actually the most important thing, is that you are true to yourself, true to your strengths, true to your authenticity. These folks in common are all CEOs. You might be a salesperson. You might be a director or a VP of a company, of which many of those are my clients. But at the end of the day, you are an individual. And flash forwarding into what economists are calling a gig economy today, it's really important that you develop a strong social brand, because guess what? People are looking you up online and they're determining if they're going to do business with you or not do business with you based on your social brand. Another point of this is that these folks and great social brands are inclusive. So to me, that means that they've built a strong network, whether that's a social ecosystem or circles or followers, connects, actually whatever you want to call it, but they're inclusive of others and help and nurture others. They're very action-oriented and proactive, and that's extremely important for any social brand. And they're leaders within their own industries. So these are some folks that I personally admire here on the bottom right of the screen here, that I personally follow on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Facebook, and see that what they do is they have a brand, they've committed to it, and they nurture it and they help others. So what are the opportunities for you, whomever you are, which hopefully I'll find out in the Q&A, in social branding? Well, there are actually many reasons why you may want to consider this. And also, I want to kind of point out that maybe you have some ideas of some of the benefits, and maybe there are some here that may surprise you. So number one, I think, is an obvious one, and that's positive media attention. So if you built a strong personal brand or social brand or personal brand online or whatever you want to call it today, and you built it so that you're providing value and leadership, to point back to my last slide, to your audience. Eventually, if you're doing it right and you have a targeted plan and strategy for your personal brand, you will reach and engage folks like influential bloggers in your industry, or even journalists, reporters, and anchors. This is how I've had the opportunities, and my clients who I represent have had the opportunities to be on television, to be picked up on blogs, to get interviewed. All of these things, all of this activity, at the end of the day, supports the strength of a social brand. The next, and one that I could talk about for an entire webinar actually, is search visibility, because I do a lot in the world of search. And so the prime driver, the prime behavior of any internet user is search, right? So if you want to think about, you do SEO, for example, if you know what search engine optimization is, right? Or you put out a lot of content online and optimize your website to drive traffic to your corporate brand website. But you can also do this for your personal brand. So if you think about LinkedIn, which I'm going to get into today, LinkedIn inherently has a very strong, what we call search index or search algorithm for personal profiles. So if you think about your profile on LinkedIn, it's like having a very strong, nurtured, dynamic content page for you as an individual. So if you really build up a strong social brand, you have opportunities for people to find and engage you. That's really important for really anybody that's outward facing, whether that's a salesperson or even a CEO, whom I've had the pleasure of working with many CEOs where their interest is to get investors to find them. It'll also help you, if you do it right, find and engage with your company, because the natural traffic flow, or as we call it in search, the like natural user funnel, is to do a series of searches and then eventually take an action. So you want that action to be the conversion point, we call it, of your homepage, or maybe even it's a landing page about a specific service. And that service, if you've done personal branding right, should tie into your own topic of expertise. The next benefit, and the one that I personally love the most, is building a strong reputation online. And really, this to me is the most important reason why you might want to think about investing your time, energy, and or money into social branding. Because once you've built up a strong reputation online, you have opportunities. Conversely, if you haven't done this work, it can really hurt your career in the case of job seekers, your business in the case of business owners. So it's really important that you think about how your brand, individual brand, inevitably will support your own reputation or the reputation of your business. The next benefit would be audience engagement. So my agency, as Kelly had mentioned up front, Agency Online Marketing, our tagline has always been online audience development, because that's what's really, to me, someone that's been in the internet forever, is the reason why I got engaged with the internet in the first place, is it's a place to build communities. And you want to be what I call the hub in that community of influence. You become what we call an influencer. The only way to actually do that is to build up your brand and to nurture your audience and understanding who that audience is. So this is a major benefit of social branding. So those are some of the top benefits of social branding and kind of why would you want to do it. Now I want to get into kind of like the what's of social branding. So really, what is social branding? I'm sure everybody knows who Oprah is. I don't have to explain this. And you could probably think of hundreds, if not millions, of other celebrities, business influencers, and so on. And what they've done a good job of, as this slide denotes, is they have branded themselves so that they're driving monetary value around themselves versus driving that around a corporation. So when we take that personal branding practice, which has been around as a real entity since 1997, and what we call digitize that into a social brand, how do we do that? Well, it requires a proper, and I'll emphasize the word proper, use of online channels, not just LinkedIn, but literally there's millions of channels online, social, blogs, websites, directories, where your brand itself, your individual brand, needs to have influence to drive impact and visibility. But before you do this, and before you think about any of this, you need to have a goal. Anybody that's in sales, any business owner, anyone that's serious about business understands the importance of not only having goals, but then measuring those goals. And the beauty of the internet is that you could measure the effectiveness of your goals on a weekly basis. As we do in social media management, we measure things like key performance indicators. You might have heard of them, of KPIs. On websites, we measure conversion or lead form conversion. So there's very what I call hard goals that you can look at, and you can also look at business goals. So on this slide, I've listed some potential goals you could think about for why you'd want to invest in LinkedIn and your social brand. So obviously brand awareness is key. This is about cutting through the clutter. This is all about, you know, having someone find you. Then it's about, well, if someone finds you, then how do they then engage with you? So another goal would be engagement leading to sales. Media attention is a huge goal for most of the clients that I work with in social branding. And it's really important for anyone that's either launching a new business, of course, or launching a new initiative if you're a company that's doing new things in the marketplace. The social brand can also drive investor attention, and for the majority of the people that I speak to when I do live training and speaking, especially entrepreneurs or people that are thinking about making career changes, a career transition is really important place and time in your life, in your professional career, where you want to think about the social brand, because you really can't get away with really attaining that, you know, quality career move until you've developed a social brand today. It's just a mandatory thing in the world of job seeking. So kind of how do you do this, right? Well, the first place you need to start is defining your focus, or we call it your social brand niche. And this is really about who you are as a professional and what your strengths are and how you're different yet better than the next person that you want to compete with. Whether you're a creative professional, a salesperson, a director, a VP, a business owner, a VC, it really doesn't matter. The whole point is that everyone is different and everyone in business is different, and you want to let that shine through, but that really needs to be owned and committed to. So that's the first place that you want to start. I generally would suggest that one thing that you do is do a little bit of introspection, but furthermore, you can ask your colleagues and peers about what is it that they think makes you different yet better? Why did someone do business with you? So I tend to ask my clients, for example, on my website, I have personal brand assessment tools and free downloads that you can take a look at. But this is the perfect place to start. After you've defined your focus, it's about really defining your style, and your style may be how you look. And that's important, especially if you're up on stage and you're a speaker or you're doing presentations. But this actually is related much more to your voice and communication style than anything else. Because on the web, people are your audience will have impact based on your tone and based on your authenticity. So the first thing that you need to do, like you would do with any business, is to do a target assessment, right? So you need to understand, how does your audience engage? What language suits them the best? What communication style do you personally possess? Are you a writer? Are you a speaker? Do you like to comment? Are you editorial? Do you like to drive facts, you know, more than long stories? Are you a storyteller? And what image do you need to portray? So all of these questions and many, many more, actually, you need to answer before you develop a committed style. So I've gone through social branding, and believe me, that's honestly just the tip of it. But you know, it's a perfect premise for how you want to be seen and heard and what activity you want to drive on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the social branding tool for business professionals. On the top right of this slide is my personal LinkedIn custom domain. I encourage all of you after this presentation to request a personalized connect with me, you know, stating that you were on this webinar. But, you know, that's actually one first place to start, because online branding is a custom URL on LinkedIn that I've had since 2004, because that's when I got involved with this online branding, right? So what is it about you? What would be your own individual custom domain, right? Because as I mentioned previously, you want to think about this your LinkedIn presence as having your own individual webpage, if you don't have your own personal brand website, where people are going to go to consider doing business with you. So how do they do that? Well, first of all, you need to have an all-star profile, and I'm going to get into that. Secondly, there are multiple opportunities for you to what we call blog, or you could see it on LinkedIn as your long-form writing posts. There's multiple networking opportunities from your first network, and those are the ones that are directly connected to your second and third networks, to the public LinkedIn, to groups, opportunities, and more. Journalists today and reporters, I know this personally, are using sites like LinkedIn advanced subscriptions to identify the next breaking story. You want that story to be used. So there's multiple opportunities. Just some stats about LinkedIn, and I don't know how new any of you are to using LinkedIn or new to using LinkedIn as an advanced sales and branding tool, but just some stats. So LinkedIn is the #1 B2B social and sales networking tool. Over 93% of B2B marketers consider LinkedIn to be the most effective site for lead generation. This is why LinkedIn is a public company. It triples revenues year after year, even maybe quadruples year after year at this point, because any B2B organization worth its salt and any B2B professional is using LinkedIn. There are over 445 million global business professionals on LinkedIn. A new user joins every 2 seconds. They're in over 200 countries, and your decision makers are on LinkedIn. Whether you're looking to reach out to a director, a hiring manager, a VP, a small business owner, whatever it is, but they are on LinkedIn. So there's many opportunities for you to become involved in what's called this influencer ecosystem. On LinkedIn itself, at any one time, they have over 500 chosen by LinkedIn influencers in different categories. Those influencers, like the ones I showed you on slide 2, like the Richard Bransons, the Sheryl Sandbergs, the Mark Zuckerbergs, I could go on and on and on. Those folks you can actually engage with. They are committed to post on LinkedIn's Pulse platform at least twice a week if they are an influencer. So you can actually comment on their posts, share their posts, and get engaged with their followers. This is a great way for you to start to actually be proactive on LinkedIn. My favorite tool on LinkedIn personally is the groups tool. There's over 3 million groups on LinkedIn broken out to all different types of categories, whether it's alumni, peer associations, speaker bureaus, and so on. LinkedIn is a great place for you to actually connect with people based on your interests and your target audience. So how do you create a killer profile? This is the first piece, and I'm going to show you what I do here later today, but this is the first piece that you really want to think about when you think about LinkedIn. So that's why I started with social branding, because you really can't have an effective LinkedIn profile unless you've thought through, who am I as a social brand? How am I different yet better? And what content do I want to deliver out there? So this personal profile should drive target visibility engagement. Well, how do you do that? You need to have, first of all, imagery is super important. That's why I keep making the analogy back to having a personal web page or website. You want to choose a headshot and a background image that really defines your personal brand. And just a note here that your LinkedIn profile should change frequently. Lots of my audience members ask, well, when should I change this? How often should I do it? And it really depends. It's different for every person. But on my website, I have a free download called the LinkedIn Daily Action Plan, which is supportive of my LinkedIn training programs, that kind of breaks down best practices for optimizing your LinkedIn profile in terms of looking at it on a monthly, quarterly, annual basis, what things you should do every week. But the point is, it's dynamic, right? Just like a website. So you should have the best of the best images, but you don't want a headshot that's 10 years ago. Then somebody meets you and there's a complete disconnect, right? So you really want to think through these things. You want to use, to go back to what I was talking about, defining that focus. You want to define what your top 3 skills are to define your headline beyond just your standard title, right? Because those skills, once you've defined them, should support the breadth of your entire LinkedIn profile, and actually really do need to be substantiated through your experience. So you want to create this summary, and I'm going to show you a client example in a minute, that really tells your story and quantifies your experience and results. And imagery, it really is super, super important these days to tell your story. And the great thing about LinkedIn now is that you can use video at pretty much any point. You can use video to support your summary, experience. You can use it within your LinkedIn long form posts. You can use it on SlideShare, which is one of the hundreds of products on LinkedIn, to tie in that optimized content into your LinkedIn profile. So, creating a LinkedIn profile, it takes a lot. It takes really, honestly, good thought and time, but it is the first place that you really do need to start when you think about getting better at LinkedIn. So just a quick example of one of the clients that I've worked with in the last few years, who is a senior salesperson at Keller Williams. And the reason I wanted to show this to you is that, you know, she really took advantage of standing out in a crowded marketplace. And that's really why I wanted to show it to you and what this presentation is really all about. So at last count, because I've done work with quite a few real estate folks in New York City, there's over 30,000 residential real estate brokers, representatives, right? So it's hard to break through the clutter. So the first thing that I work with Whitney on is really to define her as someone that it goes beyond a salesperson or a broker. And what I found out with a personal brand analysis is that she really does understand the investment market, and she understands the international market. So one of the things that we did is we created a content plan, which I'm not going to show you today because that's more advanced tactics, but we created a content plan around her as an investment advisor and how she could continually create content and share content, third-party content, that would provide value to potential real estate investors that are coming into New York from international markets. So, you know, so as you can see here, we did a professional welcoming headshot, and then we actually did a series of photos throughout the city. So you see one there in her background image, but now she has a whole series of images that she can rotate on her background image that are really nice, you know, high-res images of New York City to show what's going on actually in the building of New York City. So it's pretty interesting. We created a custom domain, right? So hers is Manhattan Real Estate to support her niche. And we did a number of other things. So she was a client, not just on the, obviously on the LinkedIn enhancement side, but also on the management side, because her goal, as I go back to the goals, was to get more introductions, right? So with LinkedIn and with any B2B selling in general, you know, in general, sales don't happen overnight and they're not transactional. So what she was looking for in a realistic way was more qualified leads, right? More qualified introductions that could inevitably, through smart relationship building, drive sales. So just to show you her summary quickly. So in the summary, you have over, you have 2,250 characters of which to create a really strong summary. And in this summary, whether the first thing that you really want to answer for yourself is whether you want the summary in first person or in third person, or sometimes in second person, which I rarely see. But for the majority of folks that I work with, they're usually senior level people. So we tend to go more bio, more third person, and that really shows their credibility. So you want to think about that. And then furthermore, it needs to be engaging and show that social brand niche. So you can see throughout here that I've highlighted some keyword phrases in her area of focus and used what we call all of the real estate of the summary. I'm not showing you here her multimedia yet, but it's more about her text. It delivers professionalism. You know, you can see right down to 3/4 of this summary, her specific highlights, because people, you know, they really take action with qualifications and how it's quantified, and then a call to action, a way that you can contact her. So, you know, how do you gain LinkedIn market share, right? Because you can have a great profile, but now you need to take the next step, and that's really getting involved, right? Because it doesn't just happen. A lot of people ask, how much time should I spend on LinkedIn? To me, if you're really serious about becoming a thought leader, really serious about B2B selling, you know, you should be on LinkedIn every single day. So, you know, here's some ways that you can gain more LinkedIn market share. So one is to join related groups, whether those are vertical target groups or those are peer groups. Join the groups. Any LinkedIn premium subscription rather has, you can join up to 50 groups, but you're not going to engage with all of those 50 groups. There's just no way. You'll probably engage with the top 1 to 5% of those groups on a monthly basis. But the key is to start listening to the groups. Social media, since I've been in it forever, is first about listening, second about acting. So you want to join related groups where your audience could be, where indirect folks could be, where your peers could be, and first start listening and getting to know the group. LinkedIn has advanced so much since I've been involved as a LinkedIn trainer forever, that these days you can jump right into a group profile and get with the premium subscription and get real stats on who's in there, you know, like what titles are they, what industries and companies are they from. So you're getting awesome data to make these decisions. The next way is to use the great tools that LinkedIn has beyond the groups, like the advanced people search. I'm going to get into LinkedIn Sales Navigator in a minute, but you can use advanced people search to dig deep into, hey, my first connection knows 50 CEOs in the New York City area. Well, who are they and how can I get warm introductions? I mean, they actually make it pretty easy for you to do what we call social selling. You want to review competitive posts and also peer posts, because that'll, and furthermore, what the engagement level is on those posts. Are there a lot of comments? Are there a lot of shares? Because that gives you some good indication as a marketer on where you might want to go with your post. Consider how you're better. I've talked about this a lot. And supporting your LinkedIn ecosystem needs to be a part of your daily activity, because you need to take the time to support the people that are supporting you. A couple other ways that you can drive daily LinkedIn leadership here that are important is the Pulse platform is what I've mentioned a few times. It's a product of LinkedIn where it used to be a closed network where only the 500 influencers on LinkedIn could publish. Now anyone on LinkedIn can publish. So it's important that you think about writing long form posts and supporting others' posts. And when you write long form posts, you really need to have a content plan here that supports your social brand. You also want to think about refining and supporting your social brand promise. And to go back to what I was talking about in the very beginning, this is about being authentic, right? So what did you say you were going to do? I mean, even your LinkedIn profile, who did you say you were? So if you said you were an expert in X, Y, and Z, we want to see that. We want to see that you're putting out posts, that you're sharing things. You want to support those that you follow, and you want to follow others as well. And encouraging your ecosystem to share, so you want to actually give things away. In the world of content marketing strategy that we do, we talk about open content versus gated content. And open content, if you want to think about it, is the content that you might want to give away for free, where you're not really asking for anything back, like a blog post. Gated content would be content like in the world of B2B, it may be a white paper where you're asking for somebody's information as an opt-in to get that content. So you want to think about that as you drip out content on LinkedIn. So how do you refine your target? I just want to give you a quick snapshot of what the general advanced search looks like. It's absolutely fantastic. And LinkedIn has many paid subscription models. I don't get paid a penny by LinkedIn. I would recommend that you have at least a premium subscription so you can do some of these things. If you want to be more advanced, you could get into Sales Navigator. But the point is, you have the opportunity to mine these databases down to the micro level. So that's how LinkedIn's ad platform actually works, which I'm not talking about today. But this is what fuels that. So you can find your target on LinkedIn by multiple fields, from industry down to what group they're in. So it's really fantastic. And I mentioned before that in our world of what we do is, in social media strategy and B2B social media marketing, we really talk about social selling, but this is really more about relationship building, right? So how do you do that? Well, that's why I personally love LinkedIn, because it bridges a great CRM. You can actually see LinkedIn and use, I gave you a quick example of a gentleman that's in my LinkedIn network that brings in speakers, right? And he's in Boston where I do business. And so one of the just small tools that a lot of folks don't even use is they don't keep track and use LinkedIn as a CRM to write notes and reminders about how they met somebody, right? Actually, to me, that's the most important thing, because the problem I see as well on the flip side is a lot of folks have hundreds and hundreds of connections, and someone asks them for a warm introduction and they don't even know how they met them. So you want to do this right up front. You meet somebody, maybe even today on the webinar, or you go to a conference, you get a card, you take some notes, you connect with them on LinkedIn, and you move that relationship forward. And it's really about relationships rather than selling. So I wanted to also give you a snapshot of LinkedIn Sales Navigator as a advanced subscription tool that they offer as a paid service. I personally use it because I love it to death. I think it's fantastic. But obviously I'm a LinkedIn trainer, so I need to use this. But also, if you're really serious about LinkedIn, it gives you so many opportunities to go beyond standard connecting on LinkedIn. So for example, you can connect and message people that are outside of your first and second networks. Generally, you see a third network, and you'll see some type of short profile, maybe a headshot, maybe a header, maybe they haven't allowed you through their settings if you're looking at them from a public standpoint, to see all of your profiles, just as an example. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator allows you to see full profiles, allows you to message people directly, allows you to do some, real target research and save your profiles, which I'm showing you here, save them in certain folders, add notes. So there's a million reasons why you'd want to use this in sales. One reason, and for me that's really important, is I like doing business in multiple cities. So as I'm going to speak in another city, I will do my kind of like prep homework, and I'll see, oh, who do I want to meet in this new city that I'm going to, right? Is there a conference that's going on there that I can get involved with? So I use this and I'll save these profiles. It's just a great tool. So just to cap this off about LinkedIn, the buying process, in B2B sales has completely changed to the knocking on doors, right? And going through the whole decision-making tree and the phone calls and all these things that we used to do, so in LinkedIn today, as I mentioned, over 90% of all B2B professionals and sales folks are using LinkedIn as their #1 prospecting tool. But furthermore, for me, someone that's been in B2B sales for a long time, I see that LinkedIn provides like the perfect process of B2B sales, from lead generation down to networking, database development, and relationship development. It also is an awesome market research tool. So in a few ways, so one is to actually, from a sales perspective, do company and executive research. That's why the LinkedIn company pages have become more sophisticated over time. And from the marketing angle, it's a great place for you to deliver, if you want to think about the LinkedIn ad platform, hyper-targeted market research to maybe new products and services where you want to test a targeted market through LinkedIn. So what are your keys to winning on LinkedIn? Well, I've gone through a lot today, but I wanted to kind of break this down into 3 specific areas. #1 is your LinkedIn profile matters a lot, obviously, right? Why? Because you go on Google, you type something, you find a LinkedIn profile. Well, okay, that's really important. So you want to think about search visibility. Search visibility on LinkedIn has a number of factors, but just quickly, your skills and how you utilize those skills on LinkedIn are one of the top factors. You want to think about engagement and uniqueness. You want to have a headline copy, like if you were going to write an ad about yourself and you wanted somebody to respond, what would it say? Highlighting your summary, I just showed you one example today. I have many others on my website, but the point is you want to, highlight your experience and results. Most people don't have a lot of time, period. They have to pick and choose where they're going to spend the time on the internet, just in their business day, and time is short. So you want to highlight things very quickly. You really want to use the multimedia feature that they provide. Your LinkedIn leadership matters quite a bit. I've talked a lot about social branding today, and I want to emphasize it because that's where you actually build that leadership. So you can do things like owning a link. You can own your own LinkedIn group and moderate it. It's a lot of work, and you need a reason to do that, but LinkedIn allows you to do that, right? If you state a skill, back it up. It's really important that you're real and authentic. I do a lot of training on digitizing your personal brand at universities, and that's really what it's about. It's about if somebody meets you online and they meet you offline, you want that to be seamless. You don't want a complete disconnect. That's really important. Your daily participation matters a lot. It doesn't matter if you spend 5 minutes or 5 hours on LinkedIn, whatever you really want to do, whatever you have the time to do, or if you want to hire someone else to do it, right? So you want to do things like use the status updates, right? Make them valuable, make them short, know who you're talking to, and find out if they actually care. Follow and share influencer-related posts. I talked about that. Providing answers and solutions are really, really important if you want to become a hub of a LinkedIn ecosystem. And update your profile when things change, So you have a new project, maybe you're involved with a new patent, maybe you take on a new job. These things are really, really important that you don't just have your LinkedIn profile set up in 2015 and that's it, it's over. So that's important. Finally, your keys to social branding. Social branding, although it may seem difficult, as it is for a lot of the folks that I work with, you need to become your best spokesperson at the end of the day, right? You really do need to feel very confident in what you are the greatest at. You want to identify and engage in targeted media opportunities and build and, again, nurture, I can't emphasize that enough, your social ecosystem. So as much as you want others to help you, you have to do the same. It's very reciprocal in social media. You want to be engaged and supportive daily and deploy social listening tools. You could use freebies. like Google Alerts, for example, which is a freebie, to kind of find out what are people talking about online and how can I comment on that. And responding in real time is actually the most important thing when we actually talk about social media management in general. So you don't want to miss an opportunity, because believe me, your competitors will be there. Now I just wanted to share for the next couple of minutes a couple of services that I provide in these areas, in case you want to find out more about these later. But so I do individual LinkedIn coaching. I have a whole program around this that provides a LinkedIn brand assessment, LinkedIn profile development, writing, graphic design, and a customized daily LinkedIn action plan so that you can move forward in your own way and win on LinkedIn, which I think is very important. I provide a whole host of training programs. This year, I just wanted to show you quickly, because this is the most popular LinkedIn Advanced Selling Techniques training. It's for groups of up to 20. It's generally done in the corporate space for B2B firms that are looking to get their sales teams up to speed and moving with LinkedIn. I have a LinkedIn marketing book. I have several books. I give them away actually on the Kindle library through, I think it's like Amazon Prime or something. All you have to do is subscribe to that. You can go to my author page and you can basically steal this book. I think it's important to educate. So my books are very manualistic, manual driven. They're really about helping you use LinkedIn as a tool. A lot of these things are tools, and I'm more valuable providing strategies. So you can go ahead and get this book. Then in the area of personal branding, my agency, we provide a fully managed personal branding program. We work with lots of folks, generally executive speakers, managing directors, VPs, that are looking to build a brand of thought leadership online. I have a crash course that I developed that is really intended for anyone that doesn't have, you know, like a big investment for social branding managed services, but they want to do it on their own. So it's a 4-based module course. It's extremely comprehensive. And the module 1 of the course is available for free. So if anybody's interested in that, they can just shoot me an email. But this course is really intended to give you everything that you need to build a personal brand. And the longer time you take going through it, actually, the better. And again, this other book I just wanted to share with you that I think is important for the topic today is my social branding book, How to Brand Yourself Online Like a CEO. Again, it's available in the Kindle library. And these are some of the services that I provide as a consultant. All of the managed services that my agency provides are through agency. I'm always available for a free phone consult. And I don't know how much time we have left, but this is my contact information should you want to contact me after this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine. Amazing and really valuable information. And I already have a series of questions here that I'll pose to you. And I encourage everyone on the call, if you do have questions, use the Q&A on the top left-hand side of your screen, and I will pose those questions to Jasmine for you. So first question here, Jasmine, where do I start, where do I start in branding myself online? Do I need a plan, a name, what?
Great question. It's funny, Kelly, because I just had a call with someone yesterday who had that question about the name. So, you know, anything that you really want to do with a brand, you need a plan and a strategy, because going tactically first, generally, I have found you could waste time and money. So let's say, like, I had 2 calls yesterday where I had this, where one gentleman said, Jasmine, I have a logo, I have a web page. I'm starting a consulting business. What do I do next? I said, wait a minute, okay? What thought went through that logo? What thought went through that page, right? Do you have your revenue goals yet? Do you know where you want to market? Do you know who your target audience is? No. So let's start with the strategy first, so that when you get to that stuff, the visible stuff, it's going to support the brand. So then when you go out and sell, it's natural, right? So I really believe that the strategy is very important.
Okay, great. And next question. What are the results I can expect from nurturing my LinkedIn network?
Very good question, because the question is always about time. Why should I do this, right? So why should you nurture it? Well, the results that you should expect is they will also nurture you, which is really important, because at the end of the day, that nurturing can drive social signaling to search. It can drive warm introductions. For me, what's important is, Kelly, you and I had lunch, right?
Right.
So we can actually meet in person, and meeting in person, getting to know people, whether it's on the phone or in person or at a conference, This is what's going to build that network beyond the first network. A lot of your best results actually come from your second networks, which is really interesting. So,
Okay, next question. How do I keep up with the social trends to build a brand?
Yeah, really important. So keeping up with the social trends is not so easy, right? So you need to have monitoring tools in place to keep up with the social trends. And one thing with LinkedIn that I would just harp on is to take real use of Pulse, because in the Pulse platform, you can follow categories of interest. So like financial services, leadership, management, right? All of these categories are open to you. And the influencers that are in those categories, the ones that you kind of align with, those folks should be putting out content of interest. So that's a really good way, just using LinkedIn, for you to start to keep up with those social trends.
Okay, next question. What kind of professionals can use social branding and LinkedIn marketing?
I love this question, Kelly. So it's what professionals, right, can use it?
Yes.
Yeah, because, lots of folks think they can't use it, right? So social branding on LinkedIn can be used for any professional, whether you're a creative professional, like a writer, an author, an artist, a singer, a songwriter, a photographer. All of those folks are using LinkedIn and social branding. And I could give you 1.5 million examples, and it's in my social branding book. I have a whole chapter for them because I think that they need a lot of help. So to salespeople, obviously, right? Salespeople, directors, job seekers, really important, almost critical today that they're using social branding. Entrepreneurs, really important, small business owners. Those are the ones that need to do it more, like put more time and effort into it. The ones that need it and need it to be managed in the right way are more like the C-levels and the executives.
Okay, so this leads me now into the next question. In your coaching services, do you provide guidance and management?
Oh, absolutely. In my coaching services, I have a myriad of programs, but they start with getting the work done, everything from creating the profile, creating the brand, with a strategy first, to manage services, like managing, whether it's ghostwriting, ongoing graphic design, website, helping to get my clients more speaking engagements, helping my clients to get more deals, whatever it is. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I'm most interested in helping them meet the goals that we define up front.
Right, so your coaching services, it sounds like, are very customized to each client.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the point is that they do include management as well.
Okay, perfect. And then last question I have, unless another one comes in, is how is your LinkedIn corporate training different than others?
I like that question. That's a good one. So my LinkedIn training, I've spent a lot of time perfecting my LinkedIn training, and not even looking at so much at others, because I consider most of the folks in digital marketing, we're peers of each other and we help each other a lot. But what I've done with my program, what I've heard from my audience, is that I'm much more detail oriented, and I have a 3-step process. And I actually got, I work with a law firm, so we have patents now around my programs, which I'm really excited about. But I have a 3-step process. So one is assessment. So before I step into a room, I usually cap it at that 20 person, because I'd like to actually assess those people's LinkedIn profiles before I even step in the room, So I do a full assessment, and then I come with like a summary sheet, and I make it anonymous because I don't like to call people out. And I won't, I'll go in and I'll say, okay, well, I found these things could be improved. I looked at your LinkedIn profiles, but I won't say who it is, right? And then I customize the training, but most importantly and then I provide the materials, all of that. But most importantly, I provide accountability coaching beyond the training with everybody, because what I find the biggest problem is with training and education in general is people will take it, but then they don't implement it. So I help them implement it.
Yeah, that is so important. And all this information is really valuable. And what I'll do is I'll remind everyone that this presentation today is being recorded.
Good, yeah.
So we will share the recording with you on our follow-up email, which will be sent tomorrow. But we'll also, but before the end of the day today, I will be putting it on ConnectRoot.com. You just go to ConnectRoot.com, click on Educational Webinars, and you'll see the recorded webinar there. I would say, by 4 p.m. today, it will be there and available for you to look at it again, and then obviously share it with your friends and colleagues. And any upcoming webinar you could find also under Educational Webinars on ConnectRoot. And If you're looking for a speaker, specifically someone like Jasmine who can come in and teach your team, please let us know. We appreciate your time today. And Jasmine, thank you very, very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you everyone for who's listening. I'd love to meet you, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Everyone have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.